Welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, the only show that provides you with the best insight and information to everything Franklin County sports. And now here's your host, Bobby C.
Hello and welcome to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. Want to welcome you here today. Yes, I want to let you know that our short show is what we have this week, only because we are really winding down our fall sports season. Well, if you look outside on days like today, you're wondering when that big first snowfall is going to fall. Well, I can tell you right now, up in the West County, they got to see some white stuff up there on the hill. But here in the valley, not quite yet. But boy, it's coming close. And we know what that means. When the white stuff comes, that means the winter sports season is about to begin. Well, there was some playoff action that happened last week that we want to run down. We also crowned a champion. We'll talk about that as well. A very exciting weekend for one of our locals, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Want to say a big thank you to the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant over there in Berniston. Thank you very much, Mark and Linda Snow. Also to Aaron, Mike, and the staff over at Denny's Pantry, located on Berniston Road in Greenfield. Sean Hubert and the staff over at Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant. They're located right there on Avenue A in Turner's Falls, and by Lisa Albert and her staff over at Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield. Wonderful producers here today, John Meisner, Philippe Simone. They get it done each and every week. We thank them so much. Want to let you know that we are on the FCAT down there in South Deerfield. We're also up in the Berniston Northfield area now on the Berniston Northfield Community Access Television Station. We're also over there in Montague as well. Thank you very much to Deidre and Dean. And of course, we're right here at GCTV, where we do our live recordings each and every week. Why don't we get into the show here for you today? Let you know that the State 2 Division 2 semifinals for the state in field hockey was last week, and it was a double overtime heartbreaker for the girls from Frontier. They ended up losing to Hopedale. Final score was 1-0. It turned out to be a very sad ending to a season that was so bright for this team. And I just want you to know that they ended up their season 16-3-1, a very successful season right there for Frontier. And by the way, the goalie for this team of Hopedale, this girl is going to one of the most premier colleges when it comes to field hockey here in the nation, and that is Duke University. And think about this. To be able to know that you have an opportunity for a great scholarship at Duke University, that is huge. So congratulations goes out to her for the great job she did. She did an awesome job in the net. You know, Olivia Vasilio almost had herself a goal to win this one right before they ended the game, but it didn't work out well for her and her team, and they really did play their hearts out. Coach Missy Phillips says it the best, and Missy Marhar is her name as well. You know, we know her as Missy Phillips, as her as a player, but she is Coach Marhar. And obviously, it was tough for them because they ended up losing this game. But if you think about the season that they had this year, there was a lot of bright spots. And this team is definitely going to lose a lot of players, too. They're going to lose Madison Fifield. They're going to lose Amanda Fuller. They're going to lose Sophia Patton. They're going to lose Cassidy Bardwell. They're going to lose Emily Roberts. They're going to lose Lily Spencer, Grace Wesolowski, and also Olivia Vasilio. So they are all leaving the program as they are all seniors of this team. So congratulations goes out on the wonderful season right there by the Lady Redhawks field hockey program. And don't worry, Coach Marhar knows how to reload. She'll do that. But a very tough loss for them. They got beat 1-0 in the state semifinals for Division II field hockey last week to Hopedale. Well, the Frontier football team ended up having themselves a war, as they call it. A big battle in the trenches last Friday. They did. And they ended up taking on Ludlow High School. You know, even though it was one of those non-conference games, boy, if you went as a football fan, you would have really enjoyed this one. Because here's how the game ended. The game ended literally in the fourth quarter where Ludlow was leading in this one. Frontier came all the way back. They end up winning 30-29. That's right, folks. 30-29, a big battle as Frontier picked up the win over Ludlow. By the way, Ito McMillan had himself a great day. He ended up with 167 yards on 27 carries. He led the way with 3 touchdowns as well for Frontier in this one. And by the way, this is an exciting thing for him because he is going to be going into that night before Thanksgiving game against Mohawk 24 yards shy of 1,000 yards. So this kid has an opportunity not only to be able to win the night before Thanksgiving game for his team, but he also has a chance for an individual achievement of hitting that 1,000 yards for the 2019 season. And like I said, they will be playing Mohawk. That's right, their final game of the season will be coming up the night before Thanksgiving. You know, you talk to McMillan, he'll tell you that we really beat ourselves in that game against Chicopee. We just couldn't get things together. They ended up playing better than us. We did not play the way we're supposed to. Came out in a different attitude against this Ludlow team, and hey, they picked up a win. It's all that really matters in this one. By the way, Garrett DeForest, their quarterback, he was 3 for 6, passing, 74 yards. Also, he had a nice touchdown pass to Donovan Hoffman as well. As a team, Frontier ended up with 266 rushing yards on the day. Wow, that's a really solid day for them. By the way, I can tell you that Josh Samaski ended up having 50 yards in his day, and also DeForest himself, as the quarterback, ran for 50 yards. It was a nice day on the ground for Frontier. They did pick up the victory. Once again, one more game left on the season for them. That is the night before Thanksgiving. 6 o'clock will be the kickoff down in South Deerfield. Well, it was a tough day for the Warriors. They ended up going out to Marhar. Marhar playing some very good football right now. They ended up getting beat, so they're out of the playoff picture, but they did have a chance to have an opportunity to get to that Super Bowl, but they didn't. Very successful year for them, especially after the way they started. And they ended up handing it to the Warriors. Final score was 22-6 back on Friday night. Now, the Warriors really used many different formations in this one, but they really couldn't get any rhythm going in this one as they end up taking it on the chin over there in Marhar. But I will tell you that if you talk to Coach McLeod, he'll tell you that we dropped too many balls. You know, when you're running the spread, you can't be dropping the football, and we dropped the football. And they beat us handedly, and you can't give extra opportunities to a guy like Coach Woodward. And he is one of the premier coaches here in our area, and he ended up having his team ready in this one, and they ended up winning big, 22-6. By the way, Liam Driscoll, we got to give some credit to him. He was all over the field for the Warriors in this one, helped account for the lone score in the third quarter for the Warriors as well, but he also had 3 sacks and a blocked punt. So a very solid game for Liam Driscoll. Also, Jaden Kitchen-Lipsky ended up having a sack for the Mohawk defense as well. Cam Lococo ended up recovering a fumble, but unfortunately that wasn't enough as the Warriors get beat by Marhar. Well, the Franklin County Tech School has one more game left. They will be taking on Smith Vocational. That'll be a game that'll be happening on Thanksgiving Day. 10 o'clock in the morning for this one. That'll be played down in Northampton. So that'll be played on the road. Last year, they ended up having their first game against Smith Vocational where Smith Voc ended up winning. Well, I'll tell you right now, it left a very bad taste in the Tech School's mouths when the kids went home for Thanksgiving. Well, hopefully this year, it'll be a little bit different as they try to win on the road. But they really ended up having a tough time against McCann Tech this past week. Final score was 22-6. So with that, they ended up getting beat. But I will say there was a nice play that was made in the game, and that was the nice touchdown throw that went to from their quarterback, Bashaw, to Colby Melu. And he ended up catching that lone touchdown. He ended up, Bashaw, 5 for 14 for 56 yards. 5 different receivers caught passes, including Noah Fuse, also Ian McClure, Melu, Rosewarn, and Hunter Wozniak. Last year, it was a tough one for them on Thanksgiving Day. They're hoping for the victory. Once again, that game will be played against Smith Folk. That'll be Thanksgiving morning at 10 o'clock in Northampton. By the way, I just want you to know that it turned out to be a very sad situation on something that happened over the weekend for the girls from Mohawk Trail Regional High School. They ended up having their illness of the flu go through the school up at Mohawk all last week. And the runners that were running in the state tournament, the state meet that they had for cross country, well, these girls literally went into the meet this weekend ill. And it really affected their performance. And the way I look at it is this, you know, when you even talk to Coach Joe Chadwick, he'll tell you that it's tough when you're not healthy getting ready for a race. Think about this. If you're sick in your home, would you get up and go run? Probably not, right? Probably not. Well, these girls, they knew what it was all about. It was about having the opportunity to be in the state tournament. So it turned out to be the illness really took an effect on this one for a lot of the girls. But their top runner was a girl who's never ran before, except for this year. She decided to come as a senior. She's one of the most athletic girls they have in the school right now in senior Grace Poplowski. Now, she was the first warrior to cross the finish line. She ended up taking 40th place out of 176 runners. So really, she still did very well, not feeling good. You know, when you talk to someone like Coach Chadwick, he said, you know, whatever she decides that she wants to do in college, she could still even run for any college because she is that athletic. I couldn't agree more. She really is an athletic girl. And you know, you look at a round of all these other girls that have been able to be a part of this program, and there really is a lot of talent that this team had throughout the year. You don't get to the state tournament and be able to get there as a team if you didn't have a successful season. So all in all, it turned out to be a very successful year for this team. Frontier, the girls ended up having one girl in Leah Gump. She was the only non-Mohawk Trail runner that was there on Saturday. She ended up taking 132nd place, but she's only an 8th grader. A couple of other girls from the Mohawk team that ended up placing include Erica Lumen. So a nice job by her. She was able to cross the finish line as well. Another one was Erica Sluzik, and she ended up 127th place. On the boys' side, what about Dennis Simmons? Yep, he's the only guy that was able to go to the state tournament locally in our area, and he ended up not doing as well as he wanted to do, but the one thing that he did do, which he was happy with, is he wanted to try to get to the 18-minute mark, which he did. And he ended up placing 78th out of 178 runners. So really, he ended up in the top 50%. Really nice job there by Dennis. And he is still a very young runner. He's only a sophomore, so he still has a couple more years left to hopefully improve his time and improve in his placement in these tournaments. Very unfortunate for the folks up there at Mohawk, especially the girls who ended up catching that flu last week. Well, I gotta tell you, we talk about this every single year. When I started this program, we talked about them when we were getting ready for their first season on this show, and we just keep talking about championships. And people say, championships, local. Are you talking about the Turners Falls girls softball team? No, but we'll talk about them coming up in the spring. But what about the girls volleyball program at Frontier? Coach McDonald and his girls ended up taking on Rockland High School. It was a rocking place, too, on Saturday over at Worcester State. And I'm going to tell you right now, the girls from Frontier, they got it done. They won yet another state title. How about title number 10? That's right, 15 straight Western Mass championships, and now their 10th state championship. Yes, volleyball is very huge down there in South Deerfield. You know, we think about the fall sports programs. No other school can touch Frontier with all of their teams that they have during the fall. They just have it going on. You know, you think about their soccer programs that have usually done well. This was an off year for them with that. Golf team kicking butt. How about the kids, the cross-country team, the boys cross-country team? In the year they got the field hockey team going to the state semis. You got the volleyball team winning a state championship. Unbelievable. So here's how it went. They lost game 1, 11-25. They won game 2, 25-23. They won game 3, 25-23. They lost game 4, 14-25. And then in the final game, they won 15-13. Talk about two teams that were just about even. And the ladies from South Deerfield walked away with the championship. Just another unbelievable way for this team to be able to win a championship. Coach McDonald said it best. Winning never gets old, especially this year's title. One of the more unexpected teams that I thought would win a state championship. We've had a lot of wins. We've had some close wins over the years, but I feel like sometimes a win, well, it's kind of expected for what we do. Well, this one, in the year that we've had with all the new people, they really got it done. Their main goal was just to be able to see if they could try to win enough games to be able to compete in the Western Mass Finals. This is when they all got together on August 22nd. Well, now, as we sit here in November, they have claimed a championship. And next week, I'm going to be able to talk to the folks over there at Frontier as we have an interview with them. It's going to be very exciting to talk about this volleyball team. So congratulations goes out to Coach McDonald and those girls from Frontier. Just another amazing, amazing season. You know, I like to talk about some of our alumni who come through here, do something special in college. Well, one of our guests that we had here before, and Amy O'Sullivan from Greenfield High School, she placed 24th in the individual standings for Westfield State University at the New England Regionals that were taking place up in Maine. And she ended up placing 24th out of 380 runners. Let me say that again. 24th out of 380 runners. So congratulations goes out to Amy. By the way, this is how things roll with this. If they get enough teams from New England who get selected that can be able to go to the New England Regionals, they take a certain amount of kids from each of those schools to compete for the New Englands. And then you can, for the national tournament. So if there's 6 teams that are able to get in to go to the national tournament, then Amy O'Sullivan from Greenfield will be invited to that national tournament. And I wish her the best of luck. She has done an awesome job. Very, very impressed with what she has done in her college career so far at Westfield State University. Want to welcome you to the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report. I'm Bobby C. I just want you to know that it's a very short show this week, and I apologize for that, only because we just don't have a lot going on right now as we start the transition into the winter season. Luckily, next week we're going to be all set because our show will be filled up with the interview with the girls from Frontier. I'd love to be able to also get an opportunity to get a couple of other of our fall sports teams to be able to come in and have a chat with us. And I'm going to work on that over the next couple of weeks. And of course, you know, coming up we have the big Gobble Gobble, and that's exciting as well. But the one thing that people have been wondering is, what is it going to be like for the folks from Turners Falls and Greenfield on Thanksgiving morning? You know, it's funny because a couple years ago, John Meisner, one of my producers, and I, we sat there with Russ Brown, and we sat on a bleacher. We did a pregame show. It was probably one of the most craziest days that I ever did a football game for. It wasn't that one last year where it was just bitterly cold. It was when it snowed really bad, and they literally had snowplows out there, and they were cleaning up all of the field to have a game. And Johnny Meisner and I and Russ Brown, we literally had to clean ourselves off a little spot on the bleachers to be able to do the pregame show that we did. But I want to tell you, it was crazy that year when we were able to do that. And then last year, it was so cold, but it was probably the best Thanksgiving Day, Turkey Day game that we've had in years. And now you find out that because Turners wasn't able to field the team, that Greenfield and Turners will not be playing Thanksgiving football. It's going to be weird for me because I have always had a ritual. I would go, I'd get my coffee, I'd get my muffin, and then I would head to the game. I'd sit down, Chris Collins and I would go over everything, we'd talk it over with the GCTV crew, and we would do the ball game. You know, I was talking about this the other day. I think this is my 21st year. This would have been my 21st year of doing high school football with Greenfield Community Access Television, because we've been doing this forever. This goes back, way back to when Marty McGuan was running the studio back in the day, and we ended up having me and Bill Brown from Turners Falls as the announcers. And it was just so much fun to do this each and every year. And last year, because of the nerve damage that I have, I wasn't able to do that game. But I sat home and listened to it, and I just could not believe how exciting that game was between Greenfield and Turners last year. And this year, the game that you're going to pop on if you listen to Bear Country is going to be Mahar and Athol. And people that don't know what's going on around here, that are coming home for the holidays, that are flipping through channels, are going to wonder, where is the Greenfield Turners game? The weirder part is if you're up and you're picking up a paper or you're stopping for a cup of coffee on Thanksgiving morning, drive by Greenfield High School, drive by Turners High School, you will see 2 empty parking lots. Just unbelievable to me, really is, especially as a GHS alumni. Well, as we wind down our show, I want you to know that there's been a lot of people who have backed up Gina Johnson over at Pioneer Valley Regional. The community has been really airing out their disapproval of what has happened with her termination as the athletic director up there at the school. I want you to know that they had a meeting this past week up at Northfield Elementary School. Parents and teachers were protesting this whole situation. The thing is that the superintendent says that there were 2 reasons why she was terminated. One of them was that she didn't have adequate transportation for athletes. And then the second reason, which I think is really far-fetched, is the fact that he said that parents shouldn't be painting the lines on the fields, which Gina Johnson made it very clear that the coaches and her are the ones who do the painting of the lines on the field. So really, the superintendent up there at the school, he's really digging for stuff. And I'm going to tell you what, the community is way too small up there at Pioneer. And I think what bothers me more than anything right now is make it a good reason. If you're going to make it a reason to get rid of somebody, make sure it's something big. This isn't big. This is petty. This is real petty. And especially when she did you a favor. You needed someone to fill in as the gym teacher because Barbara Colleen retires, and you reward her by terminating her job as the athletic director? I'm sorry. I just think that this really was a wrong way to do it. And you know what? Now the sad part is the principal of the school, the principal of Pioneer, is also the athletic director right now. Just a waste. Just a waste. After all that Pioneer has gone through, the news, just the disappointment of things that have happened in that district, and you have to throw this in the mix, just a very sad situation. Gina has got a lot of respect from the people up there in Pioneer and in that district up there in Berniston, Northfield, Warwick, and Leiden. They all really like Gina. And the kids have really stepped up, and they ran a rally, but the parents have also stood behind her as well as the faculty. You know, I want to read a quote to you. Claire Brennan, who's also a teacher and the vice president of the Teachers Union, said, "The decision was an unfortunate overreach by the superintendent." She said the union has yet to be provided evidence of insubordination, the alleged reason for Johnson's termination. So, where's the evidence, Mr. Skagel? Where is it? You're really adding fuel to a fire that really needs to be blown out. Get the fire department over there and get rid of the fire, because there's no need for it. She was doing her job. She was doing you guys a favor at that district by taking on the gym teacher role, dual roles. And you're talking about whether parents are painting lines and also no adequate transportation. What happened? Maybe there was a miscommunication for one game where she might have accidentally had a reschedule and forgot to get the school bus there on time. Things happen. Like to see what your resume looks like there, Mr. Superintendent up there. Like to see if you've ever made a mistake, because I really feel that you're really fetching deep, and this is very unfair on what you're doing to Gina Johnson. As we wrap up another week here of the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report, I want to let you know that we will be interviewing the volleyball team from Frontier next week. Very excited about that. Also, I want to say that it's going to be very different when we think about Thanksgiving 2019 for local high school football. The good thing is that the kids from Turner's are still going to be able to play. It's just going to be a little bit different atmosphere for them, though, as they play with a Mohawk Warrior jersey the night before Thanksgiving down at Frontier. So they will at least be able to play in that opportunity in front of a big crowd. But you're not going to see Greenfield as they turned in their uniforms on Veterans Day. Their coach even ended their season early, saying that because of injuries, he didn't want any more kids to get hurt. And whether that is all factual or not, I can only tell you that I've only heard it from a couple of players who pretty much laid it on the line to me that they turned in their uniforms on Monday, Veterans Day of the 11th of the month, and that their season was over. And if you noticed, I did not mention anything about Greenfield playing a football game this past weekend. So their season is over. We'll do it again next week. For Philippe Simone, John Meisner, I'm Bobby C. Want to thank the Four Leaf Clover Restaurant, also Denny's Pantry, Berniston Road in Greenfield, Lisa Albert of Albert Hearing Services, 33 Riddell Street in Greenfield, and our friend Sean Hubert of Hubie's Tavern and Restaurant, Avenue A in Turner's Falls. Just remember, we still got the kids playing a little bit of football left here to wind down our 2019 fall season. Get out and support them. And we'll talk to you next week, a couple of days before Thanksgiving, with our interview of the champions from Frontier. Division III state champion number 10 for them, Frontier, and their girls team under Coach Sean McDonald. Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks for watching the Franklin County Varsity Sports Report on GCTV. Catch a game and be sure to join us next time for more sports and fun.